If you've ever thought about doing tile, I'm going to tell you it's really not that hard. It's just time consuming. Let me show you how I did it. First, you need to mix your mortar. Make sure you have the correct mortar for the type of project that you're doing. I'm only mixing a portion of the bag because you really only have about 1.5 to 2 hours of work time before it starts to stick, especially for your first row because this one takes the longest. And you can just get a mixing attachment for your drill.
Extremely nervous for this.
I was very nervous to start. As you can see, my mortar was way too thin. It kept sliding down the wall, so I remixed it. It should be like peanut butter consistency. Everything that I read said that you shouldn't start at the tub because it's usually not level, so I tried starting at the second row, but I couldn't get it to not slide, so I just started at the tub. I used my laser level to make sure that all the tiles were level and straight across. A laser level is 100% needed for a tile project. The first row is definitely the hardest, but from there, it's just rinse and repeat. And make sure you have your tiles mapped out before you start so you don't end up with any really small pieces on the sides. It's not going to feel great on your neck. And I have to just say that this was my first time doing this and I was not expecting perfection, but I still think I did a pretty good job. I'm using 1/16 inch spacers. I removed the spacers within a couple hours of laying the tile. And I cleaned the mortar between the tiles when I did this because if you don't, the mortar will set and it's really hard to get out. When you're putting the mortar on the wall, you use the flat side of the trowel first and then the notch side. There are different size trowels depending on the size of tile that you're using. Here I'm using a 1/4 by 1/4 notch. I'm also back buttering my tile, which makes for better adhesion. I use 2 different types of tile cutters. The first is this manual one. It works great for straight cuts. It just snaps it in two. I did this for all my smaller pieces up top. When you press your tile onto the wall, make sure you wiggle it a little bit to get all that air out to create a good suction on the wall. It's also good to check your tiles every so often to make sure you have good coverage with your mortar. I used edge trim along the sides so there was a break between my tile and drywall. You just put some mortar down and then apply the banding and then place the tile. Taping helps to not get mortar all over the drywall. This wet saw made cutting the tile so fast. To make cuts for plumbing, you just make little teeth and then gently knock them out with a hammer. I definitely recommend this wet saw for a tile project. I felt like it was a lot easier to get more precise cuts. And here it is, all laid. Honestly, I was so proud of myself. Next, I'll be showing how I grout and sealed my shower.